Over the next few years, Rob's band Fight released 2 albums, but Judas Priest entered a long and silent sabbatical, unsure of what to do without their former frontman.
It's immortal sin.
I had to try and look for a new singer, which was fun, I don't think. Getting the right guy with the right voice and look, very, very difficult.
For years, the only ones playing Priest songs were tribute bands like British Steel. The group was fronted by Ripper Owens, a 28-year-old supply salesman from Akron, Ohio, and lifelong fan of Judas Priest.
Break in the line! Let's break that law!
I would say the things between the songs that Rob would say. We'd play 2 hours of Judas Priest, and it was fun.
In the winter of '95, Priest drummer Scott Travis caught British Steel at a Virginia club. Stunned, he took a videotape gig back to England and to the other members of Judas Priest.
They were just floored. Glenn said, "That's not him singing." He somehow dubbed Rob's voice over this tape.
He sounded so much like Rob in certain registers. You'd be stupid to think that it was real.
In February '96, skeptical but desperate, Priest had their coordinator invite Ripper to the UK for an audition.
When she hung up with me, I ran upstairs and grabbed the Painkiller album and looked, and her name was on there, so I knew it wasn't a joke.
Just 2 days later, Ripper was on his way to London, a fanatical fan living a dream. Jet lagged but too juiced to sleep, he went straight from the airport to the audition.
I'm surprised I didn't piss myself. You know, headphones on, guys behind the glass. Okay, here you go, sing.
He sung the first line, and we stopped the tape. I looked at KK, he looked at me, and we knew.
As soon as we found Ripper, we knew that there was life after death. All we had to do then was get him on the new record.
In October of '97, Judas Priest was raised from the dead. Their new album, Jugulator, ended 7 years of silence. By then, Rob Halford was going through major changes too. After disbanding Fight, he formed a new band called Two and decided to finally come clean about his sexuality.
You put all this dirt in the machine.
It's important to let yourself out of the closet. It's like setting yourself free out of jail. People can't touch you when you set yourself free.
I had the interview with him, and one of these questions happened to be, if you could sleep with anyone famous, who would it be? He looked at me with a completely straight face and said, Howie Long.
The day after that interview, in February '98, Rob officially came out.
I've been a gay man all of my life, and that it's only been in recent times that it's an issue that I feel comfortable to address.
By announcing his homosexuality on MTV, he forever changed the public perception of the metal god.
From a metal point of view, yeah, it was a shock for a lot of people because it goes against the grain of what metal is supposed to be.
Here was the icon and the idol. He was the metal god, and he's gay. There was a big barrier that was just smashed down.
Next, Priest's new life.
There's songs on there that crush your heart. There's songs on there that make you crap yourself.
When Behind the Music continues. Almost 5 years after their messy separation with Rob Halford, Judas Priest suddenly had new life. In 1997, cover band crooner Ripper Owens made the unbelievable transition from fan to frontman, and Priest was reborn.
I can never quite stop believing that he came along. It's like fate invented this whole scenario.
For Rob Halford, too, it was a time of renewal, as he was finally relieved of the burden of hiding his sexuality from the metal masses.
Once I got through the trauma of realising who I was and accepting who I was, it was all plain sailing. And I was just delighted and to some extent surprised, because my fans, you know, to see how they handled that issue left me feeling great. The understanding, the acceptance was just tremendous.
In the months that followed, Rob continued to break down barriers. In '98, his new band, too, released Voyeurs, a gothic rock record that marked a total departure from the metal gods' past.
I knew this was going to kick up a stink and be attacked by the metal community, because for the first time in all of my years of metal, this was not a metal release.
Fans were disappointed with Rob's new direction, and he quickly canceled a tour with two. At a crossroads, Rob ultimately decided to make a return to his hard-hitting history, forming a new metal band called Halford, and releasing Resurrection in the spring of 2000.
He just said to me, I've decided I'm going to go back to my roots, to, you know, what I'm really good at. It was literally like, you know, Rob's back, you know, the metal god is back.
Once I started, I couldn't stop. It was like pulling the plug out of the bathtub. It was cathartic. I've always found it really difficult to convey my feelings and my emotions. And thank God I've got my music to do that, because if I couldn't do that now, I'd be in a mental home.
Having rediscovered his hard-rocking roots, Rob felt the need to reconnect with his former mates in Judas Priest. He says he is still troubled by the circumstances of the band's breakup.
I still lie awake at night wondering why that happened or how I allowed it to happen.
He sent a letter saying it's stupid for us not to be friends and to keep hurling insults at each other all the time, you know.
In March 2000, Rob invited his old friends to his parents' 50th wedding anniversary back in Walsall. Glenn Tipton was out of the country, but KK and Ian showed up to greet their former frontman.
And I hadn't seen Ken and Ian for 9-10 years, but it was as though we'd been together yesterday.
We had some good talking to do and laughing. Just totally buried the hatchet.
In the summer of 2001, with their past patched up and their future filled with promise, Judas Priest released their 17th album, Demolition.
I am the voice you dread, screaming out inside your head.
We're coming out with some of the best music we have done ever, I believe, with Demolition. There's songs on there that, you know, crush your heart. There's songs on there that make you crap yourself.
30 years after they began, there is no telling where the Priest story will end, but their legacy as true heavy metal trailblazers is already secure.
Metallica would have never, ever gotten to the point they were at if Judas Priest didn't pave the way for them years earlier. Judas Priest are the final band and they were the first band, and there's a reason for that. They pioneered the movement and they're still carrying it on 30 years later.
They can just go on forever. I think they will, until the legs finally go.
It seems that everyone has gotten what they wanted. Judas Priest is still carrying the banner for headbangers around the world. And one-time frontman Rob Halford has finally arrived at a place of peace.
I do miss the band a lot. I miss the music. I miss all the great times we had together. But on top of those feelings, I still feel more satisfied and complete now. And one day it will all make sense.